I think we're live. I'm never sure. I hit the go live button and I kind of wait for the first comment to appear. Hey, it's Imran Web Squadron. It is Wednesday, the 17th of January. Back to our weekly live chat. And I know some of you would love it if I did the live chats like more regular, like we used to. It's just balancing off so much work and things that we have on at the moment. But I hope you're all okay. I hope you're feeling good, raring to go. Today's topic is going to be a slightly morbid one. Just because of a topic that I was listening to on the radio while I was on the treadmill, while I was working, and it's about death. But I'll talk more about that once I know I've got a few more people joined in on the comments. And I'm just going to double check that we are definitely live, because normally by this point, someone will have piped up to say, "Hey, Imran, how you doing?" But because no one has done that, I always get a little bit worried about, am I actually live or not? So I think it says we're not live, which is a bit odd. Am I live? Yes. Yeah, we're live. We're live. Hey, TLC Online channel, how you doing? There's always this delay, and I'm never sure if it's a 10-second delay, 20-second delay, or a bit longer. How are you doing? And I hope your 2024 is going well so far. I mean, come on, we're already in the middle of January, right? Hey, Paul, how are you doing? I'm going to wait for a few more people to turn up before I start talking about my topic. Can you just give me 10 seconds? I need to go and grab my hot water bottle. Hold on. So this hot water bottle, you charge via the mains, and it only has about 1.5 to 2 hours really good heat lifespan. But boy, is it nice and hot! Like, it is nice and hot. Saves you warming up a kettle. You just plug it in, and it's when it's cold and you're wearing like a t-shirt rather than a padded coat, no matter, and you don't want to heat up the whole house because it's only me in the house. Hey, Stacy, why do you want to turn on the heating and heat up the whole house when it's just one person? It's quite nice to have. And it's kind of cool as well because it has this little bit here where you can slip your hands in. So if your hands are really cold, you can just slip your hands in as well. It is really hot, A few times, like my wife has said to me later on, she goes, "Your back's a bit red," and I go, "Oh yeah, I had the heating on." Right, how are you all doing, everybody? Got a few projects we're working on, and hopefully you will have seen with our Learn Elementor website course, I've gone and added in a few more modules. And this week, I've been recording quite a lot of advanced custom field videos, which are going to get added onto the course, hopefully by Saturday or Sunday this week. So if you're part of the Learn Elementor website course or learn.websquadron.co.uk, you will see that content coming on very, very shortly. Don't forget to smash the like button. Please don't forget to say hello. If you're watching right now and it says there's 11 people watching, if you're watching, say hello. Tell us who you are. Tell us where you're from. Tell us if you're a freelancer or a business. Is this the first time you're watching? If you're a veteran, I'll recognize your name. But it's good to have you here. I am planning, well, let me just recap. You will have seen loads of videos coming out in the last week or two, which is very much about web business. And that's just because I've got loads of things I want to share and I'm finally doing them. So I shared questions that you should be asking inside, well, not inside, when you do a discovery call or you have an online meeting with a client. What should you be saying or asking or suggesting that helps you to, I'm not explaining this well at all. What should you be saying to help convert clients into a higher priced deal or a proposal? Because it's really easy to kind of go, "Hey, what are you doing? What do you want us to do for you?" And then you try and scope out a price and the client's like, "I ain't doing that." What you want to do, hey, inspiration, Abdul from Ghana. Hope you're all right, mate. Canadian agency lead web developer. That sounds very important. So what you want to do with your clients or prospective clients when you have a meeting is find out what the problem is, find out what they want to achieve and talk to them. Don't turn it into a lengthy conversation. Very quickly, hey, John, very quickly talk to them about what do they want to achieve and what does it mean for them. You want them to tell you the problem, You want to tell them how that problem affects them and their profit or their business. You want them to tell you how they will feel if they overcome that problem. So that when you then start to talk about, well, what is your budget to overcome that, to achieve that, so that your business can now do that, you're reiterating what they told you. So you're basically saying to them, you've just told me that this is costing your business £20,000, maybe, let's just say, right? What is the value? What is the budget you're working to overcome that? Because if you turn around and go, well, I've only got $100, I'm going to go, so you want to overcome a $20,000 problem for $100. Like, really? Is that really how it works? Kind of thing. Hey, Dave, how you doing? Hey, Hosea, market graphic designer. Hoping to start a web design business by the end of 2024. Currently trying to gain skill. Hey, look, Hosea, please go and look at the business videos I've put out in that I've just been putting. Sorry, is Mark online as well? Did someone say Mark? Hello, Mark in Christchurch. Is Mark online? I don't know if Mark is actually online or not. But what was I saying? Yes, go and watch the business videos that I've been putting out because they are very much about like, in fact, I'm just going to, yeah, no, sorry. I just got distracted then. The questions you ask. And if you are able to reiterate that back to the client, you've got a higher chance of requesting a higher price for a higher premium client, but also you don't have to justify too much either. You don't want to go into a proposal and go, it's going to cost you $5,000 and here's why. Because of and then there's this license, it's going to take me 5 days and blah, blah. No, the client does not give a shit about your licenses or it's going to take you 5 days or 20 days or 30 days. The client does not care, right? So you shouldn't go into your web design proposal. Hey, Nick. Hey, John Sinidis. You don't want to go into your proposal with, it's going to cost you $10,000 because no, client don't give a shit. What you really want to be saying to the client is, what is your budget or what do you have in mind or what are you considering? Because we need to overcome this problem so that you can achieve X for you or your business to do right? You reiterate the problem, the solution, and the aim and the feelings. You want to be asking them, how are you going to feel? What does this mean for you? What does this mean for your team? Does this mean you can now do less work and spend more time with your family? You want to be empathetic, right? Emphasize the feeling side of it. Because when you have a feeling towards something, a feel good, like, oh, this is going to make my life better, you are more inclined to spend more, right? There is a reality to this, right? Okay. If you know, if I know I can get this bottle for $1 and I can get another bottle for $2, most of us would go to the $1 bottle, right? But if that $2 bottle is going to make me live longer or make me happier, and I'm not talking about drugs here, but it's going to make me happier, where would you go? The $1 or the $2? I'm probably going to go for the $2. Hey, Pete, how you doing? Hey, Stuart, how are you doing? Yep, John, car analogies. Ah, look at that. Dave just does it all. So I'm just going to say what Dave said. Ding, 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 ding. Right, what Dave said, everybody. Pathways, many times clients don't even know what they want. Now, this is a really good one, right? So here's where I would say, right, the Pathways. I like the name, by the way, the Pathways. Are you a singer or a band? Or is this just like a name you go for, the Pathways? I like that. And I like your image as well, right? I actually really like the way, I don't know if it's intentional, but you've got a grayscale image and then you've left the color on your shirt. I like that, my friend. I'm digging that, okay? If the client does not know what they want, how can they then ask for a website? How can they ask for a logo? How can they ask to be on page one? If they don't know what they want, they don't know their client. They don't know their ideal client. Because if they knew their ideal client, then they know what their ideal client wants. And if you know what your ideal client wants, you now need to show that you can achieve what they want. Can you satisfy them? And if you know how to satisfy them, that's what you want to get on your home page. We put out a template on Monday. Go and look at it. How to set up your home page, right? Think about the benefits. What are you trying to achieve? What's in it for them? Okay. Make clear your services. Make clear the process and all of that. Hey, Phil, how you doing? So think about if I'm on a call with someone. Hey, Maddie, if I'm on a call with someone or a meeting, and I say to them, what are you trying to achieve or what is your problem? And they go, I don't know. Instantly, I'm already like, right, unless this person is going to pay $50,000 for a website, I'm not interested. Maybe not 50,000. If they're not going to pay 5,000 for a website, I don't care. Because this is a problem client. Look, right, let me give you a scenario, okay? You go into your hairdresser and the hairdresser says, what do you want? And you're like, I don't know, just do whatever. Now, what's the hairdresser going to do? Okay, we'll shorten the sides. No, what are you doing? Oh crap, we've already done it. Okay, we'll slice off from the front. No, what are you doing? Oh, damn, we've already done it. If you don't make clear what you want, is the hairdresser going to want to work with you? Like, they're going to go like, well, when you say do what I want, what do you mean? Shave it, trim it, slice into it, color it, dye it, highlight it. You got to give them some ideas. So if your clients are a little bit like, no, I just want a website, forget it. Because when you start building, they're going to change their mind. They're going to like, oh, I don't want it. Oh, I don't like that. Oh, can you do this instead? The project just goes on and on and on and on, right? So please look at the Monday video, which is how to set up your homepage, sales page. You don't have to copy it, but it might get you to think differently, especially the hero banner. A lot of people have come back to me going, they never thought of that. They never realized how important that impact headline and statements is. Hey, Mr. Paul Charlton. How you doing, mate? So that the headline, the impact and all of that is really, really important. And then look at the Tuesday video where I give you a one-page guide. I've condensed. There's a few more questions I ask, but I feel like they are more relative and depend on what the customer says, and then my brain instantly goes to this flow chart instead. But the gist of what I've shared with you on Tuesday will hopefully get you into the habit of asking the client or the prospective client, what is their problem? What are they trying to achieve? What is their aim? What does it mean for them? Before you get onto Willy Wonka's Tickle Victim. I haven't seen the movie yet. But what does this mean for them so that when you get to the point of where you now need to start discussing the budget, you're now able to repeat back to them, well, you said you want to achieve X, and we can't achieve X without doing Y and Z, so rather than, you just throw a figure at them. How are you doing? Is this based on the movie, Willy Wonka's Tickle Victim?
No, it's based upon a comment in the admin bar you're on about if you are a solo agency owner, what would happen if Willy Wonka, you died because you were a victim of Willy Wonka tickling you to death. So it just ended up becoming Willy Wonka's Tickle Victim.
Yeah, okay, right. It's very... it's weird that you've mentioned that, because right at the start of the live chat, I said the topic today that I was going to very quickly cover might be a bit morbid for people. And it's basically I was listening to the radio and we were talking about death, and it suddenly made me realize, do you know what? Loads of freelancers and agencies out there that provide a service for clients, and they've got websites set up and all of that. You got your maintenance plans and everything. What have you got in place? I don't mean you personally, but I know what we've got. But what have you got in place if suddenly you drop dead? What happens to your clients if they maybe don't have access to their websites? And the reason I'm saying this is because while I was listening to the radio, it suddenly made me realize that for the last 4 years, I keep forgetting to put a list of all the passwords and all of the accounts for life insurance for everything in case anything ever happens to me or my wife. Because to be honest, I manage all of the bills and energy and everything, so I know everything. And then I suddenly go, damn it, my wife is really clever and intelligent, but I tell you what, she's going to be a bit lost when it comes to working out. So which account is that, and what is that, and where does, so made me just realize that, oh, hold on, what what have people got in place? I'm not asking you personally, though, but it's just something that you kind of go, I bet there's quite a lot of people that haven't really considered that.
Yeah, I don't doubt it at all. There probably are lots and lots of people. Can I just quickly say hey to Phil, hey to Maddie, and to John, and thank you very much about the Bricks Elemental video yesterday, even though it stirred up a bit of controversy.
No, I think it was absolutely fine, and I think it's like it's a weird one how like whenever that topic is brought up with like explaining like elemental to bricks, or even why you might use both, or why you're going to ditch one or whatever, it's like it's like you just can't satisfy everyone. And for me, it's like a simple case of, do I have to justify why I was a massive Coca-Cola drinker, Paul? Right, from the
Me
point
too.
that I was from the day I was born until 2012, I was a massive Coca-Cola drinker. And then I went to Coke Zero, and then in 2016 I moved to Pepsi Max, and I don't like Coca-Cola anymore. It's always got to be Pepsi Max.
Yeah, your taste do change.
And it's still to this day, I will have people that look at me and go, oh, why are you not drinking Coca-Cola for? And you feel like you have to explain sometimes. And I always feel like, look, your tastes change, your skill sets change. It might be something about Coca-Cola or whatever, or even, Elemental, which suddenly you don't like, whatever. But the same could happen to bricks, right? Bricks could do something in a year or two that suddenly you go, I don't
Yeah,
like the direction or what it's doing. That being
absolutely.
said, though, I think a lot of us are really looking forward to the Thomas interview. That's going
Mm.
to be, I mean, I'm used to listening to Thomas when he does his tutorials, and it's going to be interesting to see him on camera.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. I totally agree. Can I just say though one thing? I think anybody that got out of that video yesterday, if anybody hasn't seen it, it was just a video that basically was to try and dispel the myth between what people say about if you want to use bricks, you have to be a developer. Therefore, you have to
Mm,
know HTML, CSS, JavaScript, PHP, those types of things. And the whole point of that video was just to say that's not true.
yeah,
And if you come from Elemental and you're thinking, I would like to try bricks, for example, but I'm scared that I need to be a developer or anything like that, this was there to say, look, if you're using the container in Elemental, it's no different to the way that it works. There's some slight nuances, but fundamentally it's Flexbox or CSS Grid. And the whole point was, not one point in that video did I go, Elemental is rubbish. Don't
yeah,
use Elemental. You should only ever use bricks. It was a case of, it just dispel this silly myth. But some people just looked at it and went, you shouldn't do comparisons, which I think is absolutely stupid, because if you're looking to buy a new phone or a new camera, what do? You look for comparisons between the models that you're interested in. How is that any different to a piece of software? But there seems to be, as we've talked about many times in the past, this whole tribalism silliness about not just Elemental, Bricks is the same, Breakdance is the same, Oxygen, they're all the same. And they're just tools. It's the same as you've got a BMW, I'm a Mercedes fan, I'm a Volkswagen fan, I only like Fords. If you bought that, rust bucket, crap, rubbish. It's like, it's a car.
yeah.
It doesn't matter. Just, you don't need people like me to validate your purchases. You bought it, you like it, you use it, carry on. You do you. Simple as that.
Well,
I just find it really silly.
well, it's like I often have to remind people that if at the end of the day, Elemental, Bricks, Breakdance, Gutenberg, all of them, they're page builders, theme builders, whatever you want to call
Hmm.
them. They're just tools, and you can use all of them without a single bit of code, right? You can use all of
Yep.
them just out the box. But the same can be said for all of them again, where you might need to use a bit of code if you want to do something different. But that can be said for any tool out there at the end of the day. I mean, you could even go and buy a premium plugin like Amelia, let's say for appointment booking, and then end up using some code on top of a premium plugin because you wanted to do something a little bit different that's not available out the box. And it's I always feel like, I mean, I have found that when I'm messing around with code, whether it's on Bricks or Elementor, I often find it's the same amount of code I'm using. And it just comes down to what are you trying to achieve. But there's so much you can do with. I mean, look, you're doing a lot more with blocks now as well. So you're going to find that that when you're using blocks, there's only so much you can do straight out the box. And then there
Yeah.
is some stuff where you either have to use code or you compromise and go, look, do we really need it? Kind of thing. Just use the blocks, keep it slim, lean, and mean. But it's the one thing I've that I despise about the WordPress community a little bit,
Yep.
in that we still have this
Tribalism. Mine is better than yours.
yeah, exactly, yeah. And it's I think it's only going to get worse. We've covered this so many times. It's only going to get worse because I feel like that's just the way people think these days. Everyone's looking for a fight to justify what they like using and what they don't.
Yeah. People like to be validated for their purchasing decisions, and they like to be part of a tribe. So when you join Facebook groups, or whatever kind of group you want to use, Slack channels and stuff like that, it becomes an echo chamber. And anybody that goes against that is a heretic. And it's just like, they're just tools. Just use them for what they're meant to do. If they work for you and they work for your client, who gives a damn?
The thing I do, I mean, we're not going to talk all the time about this, but the thing I find the most funniest is when people do specifically say only really expert coders are allowed to use bricks. You've got to be a real expert. And I sit there going, but if you're a real expert, why are you even using bricks? You should be building raw. You should be building with no bricks builder, no
Yep.
page builder. You should be building straight out of the box. So I always find that amusing.
Yeah, if you want to be that elitist, get in there and just write the code yourself.
Yeah. Now, B2 Buff's got an interesting question. I'm going to answer this really, really simply. It's down to you what you want to call your company, because I could quite easily say, call your company social media marketing, photo, video editing, blah, 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 and just have a really massively long acronym. But I would say, go for what you think is going to make sense for you and your audience. Don't make it too much of a mouthful. But at the same time, you can technically go for what you want. I mean, look, Apple, right? Whoever would have thought that you would create an industry the way we have out of the word Apple? Like,
Or orange.
Yeah, well, yeah. I do wonder, though, is that what Orange's thinking was? Did they look at Apple and go, well, if they can use a fruit, so can we?
Why not? I think maybe a good name for his agency would be Artichoke.
Artichoke.
But as long as you don't use Willy Wonka's Tickle Victim Agency, that's fine. That doesn't matter.
I think that's taken by you now. I think, I'm pretty sure we're going to see, WordPress Willy channel pop up soon or something like that.
That's an OnlyFans channel if ever I heard it.
But yeah, but I thought it was a good video, and I feel like sometimes it's just laying it down, letting people know that look, it's okay to be different, and like I think you explained it pretty well, to be honest. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think the other thing that surprised me was that people got a little bit sort of, I've watched you, I've learned Elementor from you, and I use plugins, and I bought plugins because you demonstrated them. And now you sort of like, you've just made a 180 to bricks, even though it's been 2 years I've been covering it in like 40 videos. But it's kind of like, there's no sort of like turnaround. And if you bought those products based upon unbiased educational content, because yourself, I don't do reviews. I literally show you how a product or feature of a product works to help people make more informed decisions. Well, if you've made those decisions and you've bought them and you like them and they do the job and you carry on using them day in, day out, what difference does it make if me or you or anybody else, like Dave Foy, for example, we change what we want to use? Why should it make a difference to anybody that's already made those purchases? We're not saying don't use them, that they're bad. We're just saying that carry on. If those things work for you, go for it. No problem.
I have a similar view, but I also have a very harsh view in that if anyone ever turns around and says to me, we went and bought the Reincubate, I used the Reincubate Camo app for my phone to do my webcam. If
Okay.
someone goes and buys that because I love using it, and then they hate it, and then they're going to start having a go at me about it, I'm going to be like, I didn't make you buy it, and you should have gone and done your own research. And I get really like irritated when people go, oh, you were eating that sandwich and you loved it. I tasted it and I hated it. And I'm like, well, fine. So what? It's like, make your own mind up at the end of the day.
But it's easier to blame someone else than it is to take
And I think
responsibility
that's
for
what
your
it
decision.
is. I think that's what it comes down. It's almost like we want to remove all responsibility from ourselves, and we just want to say, well, it's your fault, kind of thing. And it's like, well, okay, great. Do I now need to pay you back for you purchasing that license? It's just like,
Probably.
get over it. B2Buff says, this question crops up all the time. So what I'm going to say, B2Buff, is sounds like you're at the early stages of getting clients. And I'm going to say that I don't know your market, your geography, your location. What is your ideal client? And if you don't know what your ideal client is, then you're going to struggle to identify the best way to get them. The simplest thing you need to do is right now, today, start building your brand. Who are you? Are you on social media? What is your website? What services do you provide? But who are you? Because at the moment it says B2Buff. But B2Buff, I'm going to guess you like to go to the gym. I don't know. So I'm going to say you need to build up your brand, because when you build your brand, people will find you and trust you more. But if you haven't got a brand, or you're not on social media, or you don't have a presence online or anywhere, a lot of companies do research who they're working with. Not all the time, but some of them do. And if they can't find you, they lose trust in you. So yeah, so go and build your brand. Hey, Richard Wade, how are you doing? Paul makes me buy lots of stuff. Shiny, there you go, look. It's
Yep,
your
and
fault,
I'm
Paul.
not paying him back for any of it.
Absolutely. It's Paul's fault completely. Yeah. But yeah, go and build your brand. Dave says Paul maybe. Oh, look, I think we've started a little bit of a domino effect now. So everyone now is just going to keep saying Paul made it. To be honest, but I have to say though, is that when Bricks first came along and people were posting about it, I was very umming and ahhing about it. And then I watched some of your videos, and what it did was give me the trust to go and play with it myself. Now, it didn't make me go and get it because of what you said, but there is definite honesty in that. If we go and say, use this plugin for your newsletter, or we like it, there's a higher chance that people might play with it. But at the end of the day, it's up to you to go and purchase or actually download and use it. All we're going to do is highlight what we like and don't like, but that's just our subjective preferences.
I think Karen's got a great sort of answer there, which is use case change, tools change, we evolve. It's just about using the tools that are best for you or your project. I don't suffer from brand loyalty, but what's best for me loyalty. Exactly, Karen. I think that's something you need to take into consideration. And also, like I've said many, many times in the past, is that if you limit yourself to one tech stack, if you work with only one type of client on one type of project, and that tech stack is the perfect stack for you, brilliant. But most of us, I mean, Imran, you're probably exactly the same. If you work, you have an agency, you're a solopreneur, you're a freelancer, whatever it is, chances are you probably work with different types of clients in different types of industries with different requirements. Well, for me, if someone come to me and said, I want a blog, for example, I want a simple blog, I wouldn't use, even when I was using Elementor or Bricks or anything like that, I wouldn't use those tools to build it. I would use something like GeneratePress and GenerateBlocks or Blocksy, for example, because they're better tools for that job. And I think that's the thing that people sort of sometimes overlook, is that if you are more of a general web design person or agency, having just one tech stack will limit you and your client to only what you're comfortable with. And I personally, and this is just my opinion, I think that's a real limitation that we should avoid. And we should always be pushing ourselves to learn, look at what tools may be better for the work that we do, the type of clients we work with and so on, and limiting ourselves to just one thing, I just think is a bad thing. It's all
No,
the cost of doing business, whether you pay for licenses for Elementor and you buy Bricks, or you buy GeneratePress, or you buy Blocksy Pro, or whatever you buy, Cadence, it doesn't really matter. These are all the costs of doing business. You don't just limit yourself and say, I'm comfortable with that, I'm never going to change, because that's just silly.
Well, it's basically like having a backup. And the analogies I'll give are one is about travel. You might be one of those people that always drives in your car, but oh, we've just had Paul's anti-fan pop up. But you'll know that, like, if there's a problem with your car, that you'll either go and get the bus, the train, or you'll go and get an Uber. And even though I like to use the Camo app on my phone, I also have another app so that if the Camo app ever goes down, and it has gone down a few times when there's been an update and then it doesn't work for a couple of hours or whatever, I've got a backup. I've got something else in mind. And I feel like if you just go down that road where you only use one tool and then something happens that either upsets you or disrupts or causes a major problem, you're going to be a little bit stuck. So
are you possibly suggesting that people have the right to choose what they
Oh, no,
use?
they do what we tell them.
Okay, that's all right then.
Yeah.
I was getting a little bit
Let's
worried.
Let's be clear about that. If we say buy X, they should buy X and never look at Y.
And like as ever, it's all about the affiliate commission.
Oh yeah, if I'm honest, since I've started using Bricks and a lot of the tools around it, I've basically become a multimillionaire because the affiliate commission that comes in off all those products is life-changing. And if anybody doesn't understand sarcasm, I suggest look that up in the dictionary, because I think you'll find that comment was dripping
the
in
best
sarcasm.
reference for sarcasm is going to watch The Big Bang Theory.
Good point. Good point. Or this live stream.
How are you yeah. Well, how are you doing, Mark?
Yeah, good. I think. Yeah, I'm all right.
What are you working on today?
I've been jumping all over the place as normal. So it was working out how to add a drop shadow in Affinity Publisher for a bit of horrible design for print we've got to do.
Sending me a cease and desist letter?
No, I just worry about you now, Paul.
It's probably for the best. You're not the only one. You're not alone in that.
Yeah, I was looking on eBay for tennis rackets without strings this morning.
Don't forget the oversized wellies.
Yeah. And then just a couple of other projects jumping between them. Nothing earth-shattering.
Right, Eddie's just posted a question about Bricks and Crocoblock. Are they a good combo? Now, as far as I know, Jet Engine and everything does work well with Crocoblock. In fact, I think Crocoblock this week or last week brought out a new homepage or a new landing page, which is specifically for Bricks. So they're really selling the benefits of Bricks and Crocoblock. I'm pretty sure they brought that out last week.
Support for custom content. CCTs is coming soon as well, isn't it?
Yeah, next update has CCT support.
Yeah, so they're definitely working on it.
Yeah, I mean, have you got Crocoblock, Eddie? I think you have from memory. I think you've got the lifetime license. So if you have, I mean, look, do you know what? It's a very, and by the way, Eddie, I'm not having a go at you, but it's a common question where a lot of people sometimes say to me, can I do X with Y? And I sort of kind of go, well, go and have a go. Because I could easily say yes or no, but I don't know exactly what you're trying to achieve. So I might go, yeah, it works. And then you're going to come back and go, but I can't do that. And I go, yeah, but I didn't. It does what I need it to do, kind of thing. So if you've got Bricks and you've got Crocoblock, go and test it out. But from what I've never actually done it. I haven't used Crocoblock. Have you, Paul?
I dabbled with it originally when people were asking, when they kind of first brought out support for Bricks. So you had like Jet Smart Filters, Jet Search, and you had Jet Engine. But to be honest, I don't really use Jet Engine much these days at all. I've kind of gone back to my core, which was ACF, which was what I started off with, what I kind of got the most comfortable with, because I kind of found it's got the widest support since they brought out the update now for CPTs and taxonomies and so on. I don't have a reliance upon another tool like, custom post type UI, for example. So I haven't gone back and tested how good the integration with Bricks actually is. It's something I do need to do, and 2024, as I've said many times, it is about sort of going back to the roots of the channel, which is more about dynamic content and looking at different tools. And what will shock some people, because I am, an Elementor anti-fan, is that I will still cover Elementor in tutorials that I think is relevant. But because we've got people like Imran, for example, and you've got Reno and you've got Ferdy and all those, then they cover a lot of Elementor. I don't really see that there's a need for me to keep on covering the same ground that you guys are covering. I mean, they cover with, building websites and those kinds of things. And you were doing, integrating it with, snippets and things like that. But I will still carry on using it and still create content on it, just maybe not as much as I used to.
Well, this is something that I've not actually revealed anywhere publicly, but it's the main reason why I've been asked so many times, online, offline, why are you not doing a bricks course and whatever? And I feel like I've got so many people that watch the Elemental videos, and I know that like you and Dave and others as well, you do more bricks, and I felt like, well, I could either try and keep doing both and whatever. And I always feel like a bit like what you're implying a little bit is that sometimes people don't know where we sit,
Hmm.
kind of thing. So are we saying use both or one or whatever? So I feel like I'll probably do more Elemental videos, 95% Elemental videos, and there might be the odd bricks one now and again if something comes out that makes me go, oh yeah, I really want to cover that. And I think that's kind of what the approach you're taking, in that there's other people that do Elemental, so I'll just do more bricks content. It's not because we're fighting for attention. Everyone can do what they want. We all have our own styles. But I feel like, you know, there's more opportunity for me just to continue with Elemental, whereas there's a bigger opportunity for you to cover off in bricks. And a bit like why Jeffrey, we've mentioned, is probably delving into breakdance, because that is a very untapped market at the moment. And if he starts to build himself as an expert in that, people will start to associate his channel and stuff with breakdance.
Yeah, I agree. You know, you've got to kind of consider that I've been covering Elementor since before there was Elementor Pro. So what are we talking, 6 years? I've got hundreds of videos on it. And I don't see that there's been much change. If you consider like dynamic tags, which you know yourselves, that dynamic data is pretty much what my channel was founded on when it comes to, growing a channel. Well, let's be honest about it. Working with Elementor, for example, with dynamic content hasn't changed that much since version 2 came out. Yes, the loop builder's come out, which I've already covered in a couple of videos. But other than that, if anyone can name any big changes when it comes to dynamic content, all the changes, and I talked about this on my live stream yesterday, Elementor haven't done anything game-changing since they brought out version 2. What's that?
Notes.
Guess what he said.
Oh, yeah. No. That's what today's event's about, Notes Pro.
Is that today?
Apparently.
Yeah, so I think it's in 4 hours, three and a bit, 4 hours time. So
should I be clearing my schedule for this, you think?
No, I'd book it up.
I think you should. Yeah.
I'd book your schedule up.
Let's be fair. If it hasn't got the things that I mentioned to you yesterday, Paul, we're just going to be disappointed, aren't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Those were some visual grid building tool. And what was the other thing I mentioned?
I shall go back and have a look at our chat now.
It was and
Mark Harris.
I'm obviously getting old.
Well,
do you guys suffer from like short-term memory loss? Because I feel like I have short-term all the time. I sometimes go to the fridge and I stand there going, what am I here for?
I sure do,
Clive. Hey, Mark, good to see you. Nice to see you on the live stream. How's you doing? It was the global CSS.
That was it. Yeah. Those two things.
But look out, here comes John.
But neither of them are groundbreaking. Element needs to do them to stay relevant.
Yes. But now you are an anti-fan, so I'll get a T-shirt made up for you as well.
I'm no anti-fan.
You obviously are. If you say anything detrimental, you're an anti-fan.
Just going to quickly jump in and just say, Palav's asked us a few times, and the reason I haven't answered it is because I don't really know. I've not tried to use Green Shift and Elemental at the same time. I don't use Green Shift, so if anyone does use Green Shift and Elemental on the same page or the same site, please can they answer that question? As I don't really.
I think if you take Green Shift out of the equation, I mean, Green Shift is very much built on full site. Well, from my understanding anyway, it's built on full site editing and that approach when it comes to Gutenberg and building on Gutenberg blocks, as opposed to maybe like Cadence blocks and Generate blocks, which sort of put their own abstraction layer on top of Gutenberg. So you could do it. I would just question whether it would make sense to do it, because I don't see what you would gain from using something like that, because you're basically putting two different abstraction layers on. And if you're using Elementor to create your templates and then you want to use Green Shift to create your content, I would argue you'd be better off using either something simpler or just sticking with native Gutenberg.
I think this reminds me of a question that was asked in the Bricks community today. And it was mainly around WooCommerce and about how some people were saying, you can't build a WooCommerce site with bricks without using loads of add-ons. And I was
I read
like,
that, Fred.
and I was a bit like, why? I mean, you can, and I have, and it's like it very much depends on what you want to do. And I always feel like don't always rush out to get loads of add-ons unless you know you definitely need it. And a bit like what Paul said, it's absolutely true. If you're doing a really basic blog site, and in fact, doesn't even have to be basic, just a blog site, you could just use it. You could just use standard WordPress, Gutenberg, and all of that. You don't have to always go for a premium product. So, I always find that so many people jump on and go, yeah, you got to have and again, it's nothing against the add-ons, but you got to have ultimate bricks and this. And I'm going, for what?
I think that takes me to a wider point, and it kind of crossed my mind this morning when I put that snippet in as a reply.
Oh yeah.
Do I need a plugin?
Yeah.
Can I do this? What's the easiest way to do this? And
I'll tell you what, I nearly wrote a very strict message in the Web Squadron group this morning, and then I held back and decided not to. And it was almost going to be, if you are going to post a question, please consider, have you Googled? Have you chat GPT'd it? Have you checked for any other answers? Have you told us what theme or page builder you're using? And have you considered any other tools? Because when people go and say, I need a booking plugin, I'm like, are you using Elementor, Bricks? Have you tried anything? Have you decided Amelia was not good? What have you tried?
What sort of booking is it? Is it something that
exactly.
Is it a recurring event? Is it a class? Is it? There's a million bookings are. Well, I work from everything from using.
And I just feel like, it's like just make your question more in. Like, there's been some people where they've posted a question in our group 5 days ago and they've not had an answer, and they literally then put like the comment anyone, and I then go back going, there's probably a reason no one's commented. You haven't given enough detail. You haven't told us enough to make us think about it. And another thing, I feel like I'm on a major rant here. I'm getting really annoyed with some people, no names mentioned, and it's not you guys, but there's no name mentioned, where they're posting the same question in 5 or 6 groups simultaneously. And I don't mean they post and wait. At the same time, they go Web Squadron group, WP Tuts group, Global Elemental group, Elemental Pro group, Elemental Which Plugins group, and another one. And they just go dun, dun, dun. And I feel like, stop doing that.
Well, funny enough, you say that. I had an individual that posted, it's like when you see a post in your group, it shows you all the same posts underneath, which have been cross-posted to the other groups. So I had a look at the thing on there, and it wasn't a question. It wasn't adding anything to the group. It's just basically saying, you should only be focusing on Gutenberg because it's the future kind of thing. And all I did was I just closed the comments on there, I just said, please don't spam. And then the person went off to several other groups, including the Green Shift group, and started going about the fact that I'd closed it, said it was spam, that the nice guy, Paul Charlton, closed it and said it was spam. It's like, well, because you literally cross-posted.
That's an assumption, isn't it?
Yeah, well, exactly. I'm an anti-fan. That's it. Not a nice guy.
Nice guy.
Yeah. But it's one of those things like, look up the definition of spam when it comes to groups, and you'll find if you post exactly the same comment, not a question. If you had a question, that's fair enough, because sometimes you want to post it to groups so you kind of feel like, I'll get an answer from one of these.
Yeah.
But when you just basically make a flat out statement that is going to get people going like, you're talking rubbish, you're an idiot, and other people going like, oh yes, I totally agree with you, that's not adding anything to the group. So when people close those down politely, and I even replied to him via a message to explain exactly why. He basically just removed himself from the group anyway and didn't see it, so it doesn't really matter. But some people get so upset about the fact that, look, you would do it. It's like typing in all caps. It's annoying for people.
Oh yes,
you're not going to make yourself an integral part of that group, especially when they've literally signed up and that's their first post.
Yes.
But some of these common etiquette things, I mean, we're all of a vaguely similar age, aren't we? And
early 20s, yes, that's right.
Exactly that, yeah. But when we grew up on the internet where everything was typed and there was etiquette, all caps was
shouted.
Yeah. Is that message still
No, I think
No,
it's gone. I think it's become. I think it's like. Well, I think it's like. We can all blame Twitter, but I think Twitter is where it really took off. In that, you know, if someone said something to you or you didn't like what they said, it's a bit. Okay, let me give you an example. If someone says they like steak and kidney pie, I love steak and kidney pie, by the way. But if I didn't like it, I wouldn't go in and put a comment that I hate steak and kidney pie. I'd be like, fine, you like it. That's up to you, whatever. And I feel like Twitter's started to let people say, if I don't like you or I don't like anything you say, and I'm just going to pop down whatever I want to put down, I can get away with it. So the whole etiquette thing about, the caps lock, the confrontation, the let's start an argument, the tribalism, all of that. I think
being a troll.
yeah, basically that it's just gone on a rise, and I struggle to sometimes wonder, like my son's 8 years old, right? And he's part of a message group with him and all his friends because they've all got phones now. And I regularly check his phone messages to check that everyone's behaving themselves. And the typos and spelling mistakes, the lack of grammar. And, no, but none of us really matter. None of us really bother with grammar when we're texting. But it's all over the place. There's no such thing as etiquette now.
I think I pretty much learned to not touch type, but type
Oh,
quickly.
did you learn to touch?
That's what's got him into problem many times.
In multi-user dungeons when I was at university. So, games that are all text-based and you're all there online, and it's really important that you can get your message across succinctly and politely.
God, now you're showing your age.
That does bring back memories. I remember playing the Hobbit game in the mid-80s.
It was terrible.
It was.
But don't you find though that there are so many people these days that are professionally butthurt? Do you know what I mean? It's like they are sort of like you've said something and it's offended me.
Yeah.
No one's ever died from being offended, and it's like they've got their opinion. It's different to your opinion, but they want to tell you what their opinion is.
Yeah.
But they don't want to hear your opinion.
Yeah.
Because your opinion isn't valid. Because only my opinion's valid. And I think it goes back to, if you think about it, right? This is going to change a few conversations now. Go back to school. I mean, you said yourself you've got an 8-year-old son, Imran, right? And can you remember back to when in school it changed from being a case of you came first, you came second, and that's all that mattered, to becoming you got a little certificate for participation.
It's a sport.
But then when you go out into the real world, all we've done to those kids, and you can see it, you look at conversations and research and things like that, it's proved that what you've done is when people go to the real world, they don't understand the fact that they didn't get the job even though they had the interview.
Absolutely.
Or they've gone to university and they should have a £60,000 starting job when they've never worked a day in their life.
That is exactly, and I started to see that. In fact, I was starting to see that nearly 15 years ago when we were recruiting in the NHS, in that when people applied for an internal job and they didn't get it because someone better came along or whatever, you had to have a proper serious conversation with them afterwards to justify why they didn't get it, because they felt they were like, yeah, but I went for it, why didn't I get it? And I do feel like I see it now. The kids at sports day, there was no first place, second place. Everything is done as a group. We're all winners. It's all about the participation, and I do agree with that participation, but I'm sorry, it's a dog eat dog world out there. Whatever job, whatever career, whatever you go for, you have to. Well, if you want to get somewhere, you've got to do something.
But look, go back to people like, whether you like these people or not, like Alan Sugar and sort of what's it in from Virgin and stuff like that. Richard Branson, yeah. There's two different kinds of people, I think, in this world, right? There's the people that feel like they're owed something, and there are people that, let's say, academically don't necessarily excel. So what they do is they go, right, I'm going to go and make my own way in the world. I mean, if you read any autobiographies by any of these people, you'll know that they were academically, they were crap.
Yeah.
But what they did was they could see, okay, there's a need for this, and I can fulfill that need, and I can make some money from it. And I think this is the reason why people like Imran, people like myself, and people that are actually up here doing this, creating content, helping people out, creating our own businesses and so on, whether we're a solo individual or we're part of a bigger agency, if we didn't have people that if you all you ever had was people that go like, I'm owed something, or because I've participated, therefore I should be the winner. We would never have people that actually set anything up, because they would always feel like they're owed something. And the real world, the harshness of, I didn't get that contract with that particular person, even though I put a quote in, you're going to walk around in this really sort of state of being, really depressed and disappointed at the fact that life is not handing everything to you on a plate, which it never does. But
Yeah.
schools are setting you up for believing that that is the case. And I think we're not doing our children any favors by doing that. Totally different to web design, obviously, but I think it's something that we need to be aware of.
Yeah, I think interesting you mentioned the people like Alan Sugar, because this was something that crossed my mind the other day. And I think you've also got to have this mindset that, say you have a good idea and you share it with some of your friends, it might be, no, I won't. I was going to mention something that Atif's been talking about, but it's a perfect example, actually. So Atif was talking to us about a website idea, and we were giving feedback. And I don't know if he listened to us or not, but I hope he didn't. In the sense that I hope he didn't let us stop his idea, because sometimes in life you've got to listen to what people say, go, okay, but I still think it's a good idea, and bloody well go for it.
Yes, I agree. Totally.
I remember I was moving house in about 2009, and I was chatting to friends. I thought, it'd be really good if there was a website where you could sell your own home. And basically, I proposed to my friends Purple Bricks, and they all said, "Rubbish idea. No, you need an estate agent. You need to do it this way. You'll never get, And it's like, oh, whatever, and didn't do anything with it. But turns out it's a half decent idea.
Exactly, but I think if you go back to someone like Richard Branson, like he said, he'll fail 100 times, but the one success will be the one that will make him millions. Mm-hmm. So what do? Do you live your life for those 100 failures, or do you live your life for that one success that makes all those 100 failures just a stepping stone to that success?
Yeah. What is it? I haven't failed. I've discovered 100 ways not to make a light bulb.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hey, guys. Before I let Atif jump in and start taking over the conversation, a lot of people were so shocked by me making my career change when I decided I was going to pack it in with the NHS. I was going to completely just let that sink away and put everything into web design. And for about 10 odd years, I kept going, that what else could I do? I could write books, I could do digital art, I could do loads of things. But what is the one thing where I feel like I can really make a difference? No matter how many people try to stop me and put me down, and even to this day, my mum often says to me, "Oh, so how's your hobby going with web design? It's not even a proper job. What do you actually do?" And my dad's like, do you just provide IT support? And it's like, Dad, do you even watch my channel or whatever? Like what I do?
So it's like, Dad.
I know. No, he doesn't watch, he's lazy.
But don't tell him about your OnlyFans channel.
No.
Because that will blow their minds.
I think actually as well, Emma makes a really good point. You've got to be willing to reinvent yourself.
You got to.
Yes, if you're not enjoying something or something doesn't go quite right, pick yourself up.
Yeah.
Go again.
Don't sit there waiting for it to get better. That's the lesson you always learn in life. It's hate to say it, but the same goes with relationships as well, but if you're not really enjoying life and something is holding you back, and that in the right way, you can make a change, do the change, go for it. So Atif, what is the one thing you would love to change in your life?
You know what? I have to say something. I agree with you guys, but I have to maybe play devil's advocate and say, because like you watch the show I watch often is Dragon's Den, and you get people coming on there and they've got the wackiest idea that's never going to work, but they're so convinced it's going to work. And sometimes you do need, I think, maybe a bit of a reality check from someone to say, what were you smoking when you thought of this idea? Or even you want to go down this path. So I think as much as I agree with you, actually, you should take risks. You have to try and balance it in some way.
No, I think you're completely right. And I would definitely say that I had loads of other ideas as well. Believe me, I had other ideas, but you look at them and you kind of go,
you don't need to know.
No. We are not going to go down that road.
That's another stream.
I think International Assassin would have been a great job.
But I think the one thing we do have to kind of consider when you use like an analogy like Dragon's Den, and I love Dragon's Den.
I do.
I think the difference there is they're asking people to invest their money into an idea. And I think if you have conviction in your idea, I mean, if you look at, for example, like Trunky, which was one of the things that went on to Dragon's Den years ago, which is the little sort of kiddies sort of wheelie suitcase thing. They turned that down, and that went on to be a multi-million-pound business and a global business. So I think sometimes you kind of have to, yes, there are some stupid ideas on this, some really dull ideas, but then sometimes they've missed the boat with an idea. Maybe it's too early in the sort of development cycle. Maybe it's just a proof of concept that they don't believe in, whatever the reason is. I think when you're asking people to put, tens of thousands, if not 100,000 plus in, plus the stupid evaluations these businesses give themselves. They've sold 50 quid's worth of stuff and they put a valuation of 2 million on there because their mate said, great idea down the pub. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So I think there has to be, I think there's balance in everything, whichever kind of way you go with it.
Do you think we'll ever see Verdi on there with code snippets?
No. I'm pretty sure. Artif for sure, but Verdi, no.
I could just imagine him with his evaluation.
You've just made me. It's worth 25 Lamborghinis.
Yeah, that's what he'll come out with.
Dinky toy ones.
Lambo. He'll actually drive in through the lift with his Lambo.
Those little kiddie cars, little battery-powered kiddie cars.
I'll have to take the stack of cash away, otherwise it's gone. I'm going for it. Even though I don't get investment, that stack of cash on the table, I'm there.
Just mentioning that just reminded me, why have Elementor brought out an image optimization plugin?
Listen, don't diss it. Look at my name. It is the best.
That's nothing to do.
I see it as competing with the EWW Optimal and that audience crowd, because you can do it, a lot of it for free. There's a code snippet now. There are ways to do it for free, and I feel like it's competing with that market. But
I get it. But Short Pixel, EWW, Imagify. If you use Lightspeed cache on a Lightspeed server, if you connect to Quick Cloud, that'll do it. WP Vivid's got image optimization.
It wasn't a priority.
Unless it's something they've built for hosting, and then they've decided, let's roll this out to everybody else. Or, as Paul said, is it something they've acquired and they just thought they'd...
Is it another Stratic acquisition kind of thing? Because it kind of came out of the blue, with no...
It did come out, yeah.
I didn't hear anything about it.
I actually was given a copy of it about 2-3 days in advance. So that's how I got my video out so quick for it. They were like, "Hey, do you want to have a look?" And even then, I was still in my head, I was a bit like, in terms of prioritization, like you've mentioned, Mark. Mark. I only said Paul then. Paul's anti-fan, but Mark, what you would like to see. And then we're still not there with the taxonomy yet. It's still as it was, 6-7 months ago.
Are you still trying to use Elementor's own post loops and
No. I use Grid Builder all the time, but I still feel like Grid Builder is a bit of an investment. You see, and for some people and developers, they just don't have that budget. And I feel like if they could just sort that taxonomy filter out, it would make it better for WooCommerce as well. It would make it.
But don't you think that Elementor is just becoming like the hero that everyone loves to hate? It's like, I'm not trying to defend them in any way, but anything they'll do, it'll be like, oh well, what took them so long? Or oh well, why are they doing this or why are they doing that? It's like they can't take any step right.
If they just tightened up on what we've got and made that better, like the loop grid, the taxonomy, just improve a few things there. And then sometimes you have to. It's a bit like Bricks in a way. If you look at Bricks, they're still on development and they're bringing out new stuff. But there's a load of stuff they don't do yet because they know there's like add-ons that can possibly help to, cater or do stuff for you. But what they're doing is they're making sure that if they're going to do dynamic fields, they do it right. If they're going to do global classes, they do it right. Now you've got the whole global class reinvention as well. If they're going to do that, they do it right. Whereas it was mentioned in January, a year ago, the global class.
Was it
not
that
heard
long
a
ago?
word about it. Like we had a mention of it. We had a mention.
It was in that video, wasn't it? There was a video of somebody
there was a
demoing
mention,
it.
I think, in March. But then since then, like, and I got really excited. I was like, oh, finally a global class way of doing this.
But yeah. To answer Artie's question, I don't think it's a case of people loved. I mean, if you are the biggest in anything, then you are the one that's going to receive the biggest amount of criticism. Because if you're not doing what, if you've got 10 million users, that's 10 million opinions you're going to get, and they're not always going to be positive. But I think when you look at historically what they've done, as already been said in the comments here, as Imran said, and is often brought up, if you look how long the container was in alpha, then beta, and it's still not actually a fully released feature. Yes, they say it's now safe to use, but it's not it's still in that same section. So you still have to enable it. And I think this is where people get frustrated. So, and if you kind of link that in then to the fact, and let's take the sort of the conditions, the visibility conditions they've just released. And this was my sort of comment that I said in my video, is like, why not just spend an extra month, 2 months, and get that brought out where you've got conditions like they've got in there, but also conditions to work with the dynamic tags you have, so you can work with ACF and work with those things.
Yeah.
So do we honestly think that when they bring out, if they bring out a global classes type system, it's going to be out of alpha stroke beta to a final release in anywhere near, a realistic timescale? And do we honestly think they'll release it fully featured in the same kind of way as you've got, core framework, or you've got sort of ACSS, or you've just got even just the native functions inside some other tools? I'm not going to specifically say bricks, because other tools have, sort of global classes and things in there. So I think this is probably where a lot of the criticism comes in towards Elementor, is because it's got the biggest user base, but also it does things in a kind of strange way sometimes, which leaves people wondering why they brought out things that people don't ask for, and why they only bring out half a feature that stays in an alpha and beta for a very long time. And then you have to wait maybe a couple of years to get the second half of what makes it fully usable.
Yeah, I've got a question which is completely unrelated to anything Paul has just said right now. But you know how you've got your monitor? You know how like your monitor is showing slightly on the screen? Is that just because that's positioning, or are you hiding something in the corner? It's just no, there's no. I just wondered.
No, there you go.
No, to be honest though, I keep wanting to do wooden slats as well down the sides down there, but I keep feeling like I'm fed up of changing this room around. Anyway, sorry, completely on a tangent. Oh god, here we go. Artif is now going to bring in his...
Artif, keep going. Yeah. Oh man, that's so well improved. Now we can talk about it.
In fact, just move your chair back, Artif. So if you go backwards, keep going. Does it blur you out?
You'd hope not. Actually, that looks really cool.
It does.
No, he looks like
really cool.
He's about this big.
Beetlejuice, where he shrinks.
That's just weird.
I think there's 101 reasons why Elementor do it the way they do, and none of them are good.
And none of them make sense to anybody.
No. It could be like, got a new idea. Oh, let's throw it into alpha and see if it's popular. Can they track if people are actually using it? Do they make their decisions based on usage?
Well, if you consider when you confirm your license, that you do get asked to become a super fan, and that's checked by default. Yeah. So that's where they're tracking usage. So I can imagine a lot of people actually leave that checked and enabled. So it probably is being tracked.
So if people aren't turning on containers, no wonder they didn't rush to...
Well, they probably didn't turn them on because they weren't stable to start off with.
I mean, I'm still waiting for when are we actually moving to version 4 and what's going to be the big move. But I realized something this morning, and for some bizarre reason, I've never noticed this. It's to do with rank math. Have you seen what version we're on right now with rank math?
Is it like something like 1.4796654321 recurring?
It's version 1.0. I think it's 218 or something. Hell. And I sort of looked at it and go, you know what? I've never we're on version 1.02. And I'm like, what are they waiting for? Version 2? What is that? I don't think I've ever seen anything with that big number of versions. There comes a point where you kind of go, all right,
they'll just jump to version 9.
Well, they're not even on 1.1. It's 1.0 point.
They're definitely not doing semantic numbering versioning then, because I can imagine they would have had a feature, even if I'm thinking about some of the features they brought out, that would bring them to even 1.1.
I don't
So
get
God
it.
knows what versioning system they're following, but they're not following semantic versioning.
No, I just found it slightly peculiar. And sorry, earlier we mentioned Jeffrey's going to be doing breakdance. Is he actually doing it today? I've got to double check.
Yeah, I think.
No, he rescheduled it again to next week, I think.
Has he? He keeps rescheduling.
Yeah, see if I can.
It's slightly weird. It's almost like for some reason, yeah. I don't know if he has or not.
Try Jeffrey at like
only because like I don't know if he kind of does it like roughly around about this time or something like that.
Tomorrow.
But is it tomorrow now? Okay. I'm going to hold him to that. You better do it now, because I sort of get ready there. I'm sat there in my Bermuda shorts.
I wonder where that was going there.
Bottle.
Yeah, we were waiting for it last week, weren't we?
I'm actually really looking forward to Paul's video with Thomas. I think that'll be a really good and interesting discussion.
I mean, I'm just intrigued. I mean, Paul, you don't have to tell us, but is it set questions, or is it you'll see where it goes? Or are you going to have a timer, so you when it's Thomas's turn to answer, you're going to you got to answer it in 30 seconds, not 1 hour.
A little egg timer, just flip it over. Right, you've got 3 minutes to answer this in full.
Are you just going to be some weird fanboy, or actually going to ask difficult questions?
No, are you going to be clothed?
All I say is don't tar everybody with your brush. That's all I'm going to say.
No, but is it set questions, or is it like just see what happens and on the day?
There's no set questions. I mean, Thomas has asked me for sort of a list of questions that I think I'll be asking, and I'm kind of like taking some ideas from what people have sort of put in there. But also there'll be a live chat. So I mean, I'll do like I've done before, like I did with Louis and stuff like that. Where quickly, I think it's more interested, engaging to kind of have some of those questions, because you don't want to have a lull in any kind of conversation. But also that you can kind of take questions off the floor, because they kind of flow a little better. It's like you say one thing, you have an answer to one thing, and then someone will come back with a sort of question related to that. And I kind of think that makes for a more interesting conversation. So it'd probably be a bit of a hybrid approach with both of those sides of things. Yeah.
Hey, Pickstar, hope you're okay, mate. I mean, I would be surprised if during that live chat you don't start hitting well above 1,000 viewing. I think it's probably one of the most anticipated interviews in the WordPress community. I think
there would only be one more. There'd be one more that would get a lot of viewers.
And what would that be?
That would be Imran and Kevin.
That could happen. That could happen one day. That could happen.
That would need an adjudicator.
Maybe me and Louis from Breakdance, that might break the internet kind of thing. Because I would love to get into a huge debate with him, but no. No, I mean,
a live panel would be amazing if you had like Thomas and then Louis and someone from Elementor.
Oh no, I think it'd be
on a live panel just discussing like the future of page builders and future of WordPress.
The internet would explode.
I think something similar was done, wasn't there? I think something was done at the Crocoblock event they did, where they had, I think they had someone from Elementor, they had various people, but I think it was all done in a very mutual way, more about the future of page builders rather than talking about your product kind of thing. So I think everyone would be pretty nice.
I can imagine, even if it was about their own products, I can imagine everybody would be really nice anyway, because I think the only people that kind of get into the heated debates are the people like us that don't actually have any development involvement in any of these products anyway.
We have no affiliation. We say it like it is. Say it like it is.
It is. But yeah, I think, I'm hoping it'll be an interesting conversation, because I was quite surprised at the number of different people that I wouldn't have thought would have any interest in a conversation like that, showing and expressing interest, saying, I'll definitely be there to watch that. So that was quite surprising. So yeah, fingers crossed it'll be a good interview.
That makes me think, do you think Bricks and Thomas will introduce their own framework into the core?
I would be surprised, if I'm honest. Because it's not a requirement to get the best out of it, because they've already got their own built-in kind of functionality. But never say never. I mean, version 2 is around the corner at some point. We're at 1.95 now, so it can't be that far away. I would say we probably will see it this year, unless, Thomas adopts the same naming convention as rank math, and we have 1.95776444321. So I think we will see it this year. But, like I said in my sort of roundup video for what I see in 2024, I don't think Bricks version 2 is going to be this sort of like going to come in with a massive bang. I know they're talking components, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But I think it's going to be a case of it's going to be an iterative update as opposed to this sort of like massive change. If you kind of consider Elementor 1 to Elementor 2, where they brought in templates and they brought in dynamic tags and so on, that was a massive change. And I don't see Bricks having something like that because it's already so fully featured that I can't really see what would be massive and game-changing, to throw the same kind of phrase around, that they could bring out in version 2 that would be such a big, massive thing. Like I say, the component side of things is I think, what's going to be the biggest focus. And I think we'll have that before version 2.
Well, I mean, unless they add notes, because then that's...
Oh, yeah, obviously notes, yeah, because that would be a game changer.
Yeah.
No,
but there is already a change, I think, because, Thomas and I think the Bricks team, well, I don't even know who they are. They're very elusive. They don't really have much publicity. They don't really do many things. So the fact that he's coming onto a stream may be a signal of something. They're trying to be, maybe they're trying to get more eyes on Bricks, and this is one of the ways.
I've got a feeling it's down to just Paul and Thomas, behind the scenes, probably eventually getting a date together. I think what you just said, though, about the elusiveness, like we hear his voice, but we haven't really had much like face-to-face kind of like messaging or videos from him. Like all we know is like
who's on the team, how many are in the team. I don't really know. It'd be good to actually kind of know who
Verdi on the team.
In his Lamborghini.
Verdi. It's just it's version 5. That's what Bricks is.
In this Lamborghini.
But if there was going to ever be a framework, I'd be surprised if it wasn't Advanced Thema and Maxime, because I know he's been quite a good influence with Bricks, help, like answering questions and stuff like that. And I feel like if there was ever going to be an integration, I'd be surprised if Bricks didn't buy or work with Maxime and Advanced Thema. But I mean, not saying that's what's happening, but I'd be surprised if that wasn't the route to take.
I think the danger if they did, if you're sort of saying, let's get them on board, let's buy Advanced Thema and add it into the core, is suddenly then I think Bricks does become what that chap was talking to you about yesterday, Paul. Yeah. It becomes too complicated for day one users.
Yeah,
I agree. I mean, Advanced Thema is brilliant, and what Maxim's doing is fantastic. I love it. It's one of those things that I would install on every single. It's part of my sort of blueprint site for Bricks, but it wouldn't be something I would suggest a new user to even install to start off with. It's a case of, and I've said this to most people. The only thing that I would suggest you kind of get used to from day dot would be a framework, because it does make. I don't see the point in learning Bricks and then going back to install a framework. I kind of did it that way, and then it took me a while to realize how beneficial a framework actually is. So the only thing I would say is if you were going to go down Bricks and you are new to using it, choose a framework, whether that's ACSS or core framework, and get used to that from day dot. Or what's it?
Oxyprops, let's give that one a little mention as well.
Well, Oxyprops is it's Oxy, which is the one that actually did core framework and Oxy Ninja, is it? It's the same developers?
Oxy Ninja and Cora, I think.
Yeah, they're the same developer company.
So Oxyprops was a framework for Oxygen, as far as I know, and now when you install it on Bricks, it becomes Bricks Props.
That's right.
A French dev chap.
You are absolutely right. Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, from what I've seen of it, it is good. And this is what I say. It's like it doesn't matter what you choose, whether you choose ACSS, whether you choose core framework, or you choose, like say, Oxyprops, or whatever the next one that kind of comes out, or you build your own. That's the beauty of something like Bricks. You can build your own, as Pixter says. Yeah, Pixter says it's like do your own. That way, then you know it inside out. You know what terminology that you use when you create your classes and so on. I think the only thing you kind of lose out on then is the kind of nice visual nature of where you can set things up and tweak things inside something like Core Framework or ACSS, and the natural integration you have between those two tools.
That's a nice video idea for you guys. How to make a little mini framework.
Well, Dave Foy's kind of covered it.
That.
Yeah, Dave. Yeah, he's done.
It.
He's done it. It's
yes, he did.
typography one. It's typography, and part of his course is where he shows you how to create your own framework. And I think this is the reason why he's kind of looking at doing his bricks courses as version 2, is because I think he wants to sort of start off straight away. In my brief conversations with him, to start off straight away with a framework in place, as opposed to what he's done with the version he has now, which is he shows you how to do it natively and then introduces the framework quite late on in the whole course. And he's kind of gone back, I think, and said, not to put words in his mouth, I kind of looked at it and thought, well, actually, it would make more sense to start off with that, because then you can see the benefits and reap the benefits as you go through the course.
Absolutely, yeah. We're going to close off in a couple of minutes. If anyone's got any burning questions, not that we've practically ignored most of the questions that have come through the live chat anyway. If you've got a really burning question, go and ask it. We might close off on it. But yeah, don't forget the Elemental have got their event later on today. I think it's in 3 hours' time. So it'll be interesting to see what we get on there. Eddie just said a video would be fine explaining the Bricks CSS class and the benefit. There are quite a few videos already on that, but Bricks are, well, they slightly tweaked it.
The go-to video for basics in Bricks it's Kevin, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. He has got really good videos covering that. You can soundbite that if you want. You can even screenshot me saying that. You can even get the transcript and the captions below. But yeah, Kevin's a good.
We're actually going to use AI to change exactly what you said. Totally different on there, but it's going to sound exactly like you. And we're going to animate your face to do it as well in Bermuda shorts.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Wearing your.
No, but careful.
No, maybe he's got to be wearing his chump t-shirt.
No. You got to be careful. If you take a shot now and you AI it, AI is going to take the fact that Mark's head is down there below me, and if it starts to generate Bermuda shorts, I don't know what it's going to put in that down there. So careful.
Yeah, we might have two of his head down there in a slightly different pose.
Yeah, well, not just that. AI is going to look at the words on screen and it's going to see the word Willy Wonka, and then all AI is going to go all over the place. So
we've got that. We've got the word fan. That doesn't help that.
Like, it's going to say Willy Wonka's tickle victims anti-fan is the best.
Oh dear, All right. I'm going to round off and say goodbye to everyone.
It looks like we've had one proper question.
Sorry?
From Jake.
I don't know. Answer the question.
One proper question.
All right. Be using Shop WooLental, modify WooCommerce category pages. Could this be done with Elementor? Well, yeah, you could set up a template for the category page, and then you could have the same page for every category, or you might have a category for homes and, I don't know, shops or whatever. So you could set up different category pages based on your display condition. Have you tried doing that? I mean, in the very, very long time, early days, WooLentor, WooLimentor, all of these, even Shop Engine, they were all the craze maybe 3 years ago, but stopped using them about a good 2 years ago now. I just found that for all the bells and whistles you got with them, wasn't really needed. And, you can do a lot more inside of Elementor now. Still not perfect. The cart and checkout widget, it's different, but, but yeah, category pages, unless there is something specific in WooLentor or whatever it was called that you need, just build out your template and then set it with a display condition. Would anyone want to jump in on that, or?
No, that's what I would do.
Yeah, I think Elementor, since they brought out, more control over that side of things, you got access to all those different templates. I don't see there's as much of a need as before, unless, of course, you want to add in some of the extra features they had that brought on top, but then you can do that through third-party plugins for things like, size charts and color options and things like that. So yeah, I think you're probably better off generally sticking with the native functionality, unless there's something it just doesn't do.
Yeah.
Apparently WooCommerce still seems to overwrite it, but that could be down. I mean, what theme you use. thing. And
yes, I would say that sounds more like a theme if it's not hello. And like, look, WooCommerce is one of the most bloated plugins you ever add onto your WordPress site. It's so big and hefty with innodes that I don't want to start adding on more WooCommerce add-ons, because it just, your backend files and everything, it just gets bigger and bigger. Right, we're going to round.
You just need an alternative to WooCommerce, a real viable one.
Yeah,
sure.
Absolutely. There you go, Atif.
Yeah, there we go. Have that next week.
Yeah.
Woo is
I look forward to that. All right, everyone, I'm going to round off. I'll be back next Wednesday, but obviously Paul might do some live chats in the week. I'm always keeping a lookout for them, and I missed yesterday's actually, but keep a lookout for that. Jeffrey's got his breakdance one hopefully tomorrow. And we got the elemental chats
on his toes. He does his random pop live event. He's keeping his audience on their toes, or he's drunk too much, and he's like, "Oh,
I have a feeling we're going to get to tomorrow, and it'll be moved to February. I've got a feeling it will just get moved again. So you have to be careful of what you advertise now. But yeah, look, catch up with you all soon. Thanks to Paul.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, Paul's anti-fan, Paul Elemental is the best, and Willy Wonka's tickle victim. See you all soon. Take care.
Bye.
Take care, everyone.